So are you in the market for an action camera? Do you even know what an action camera is? Have you seen people with a GoPro and you're like, I wish I can get one of those? Then you looked at the price and said, wow, maybe I don't need one of those. Well, today we're gonna review this action camera, the OnReal 4K, right now. Welcome back, guys. If this is your first time checking out a product review here at Balancing Act Chronicles, welcome. And as we've said before, and I'll say many times going forward, if you're looking for a thorough, in-depth product review where we talk about all the technical aspects of it, the product, the makeup, we're not gonna do that here. Instead, what we're gonna give you is a quick down and dirty review for the common man or woman. So, a simple overview as well as some of the usage. You wanna know, is it worth what you're paying for? So today, as I mentioned, we're gonna be reviewing this OnReal 4K action cam. Now, it's currently listed on Amazon for about $92. Now, if you've seen GoPros, and there's many different versions of the GoPro, you know, they can be anywhere from $200 up to $500 depending on the model that you're trying to get and all the accessories that come with it. This action camera is only $92, and in a second here, we're gonna take a look at everything that it comes with. If you came here to watch this video, chances are you ran into this option on a website, whether it's Amazon or somewhere else. And of course, as always, we're gonna put the link to this below for you to check it out. And if you're interested in getting one, you can get it right there from that link. If you came here, it's probably because you saw this option, you saw the price, and as we mentioned, it's slightly over $90 for this action camera. You wanna know, is it worth it? So the first thing you'll notice is, this is an action camera that actually has an LCD screen on the back, which makes it easy to track what it is that you've done and what's on your camera. So there's a power button right up on the top. First, let's take a look at the outside. So first what we'll do is we'll take a look at the outside and then we'll turn it on. So the power button's up on the top. That LCD is on the back for you to work with. Underneath you'll see that there's a threaded area, and this is for connecting to a mount, as well as a button that you can press on, and this is where you'll press to open up to put in the battery. Now, this one already has a battery in it, and you'll see there's an extra battery over here right on the top of the box here. This model comes with 2 batteries, and we'll talk about a little bit later why it's important that you have multiple batteries for this. Over here on the left side, when we open this up right here, you'll see that there's 2 ports here. One is a micro USB port, which is for taking information to your phone or computer through a data cable. And the other, well, let's face it, I'm not an ultimate techie guy. I don't know what that cable is called, but it's also, you'll find it in a lot of cameras. So it looks like it's another dual connection port. So you can use a micro USB and then that second USB port there for that other cable. One thing to note is there is no microphone or auxiliary connection here, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as well as to why you might be concerned with that when it comes to this OnReal 4K action camera. But I did show you down at the bottom where the battery goes. One thing I didn't mention is down there is also where you're going to find, and I'm struggling with getting this open right now, but I turned it on. This is where you're going to find the SD card slot. So this camera can actually hold up to a 64 gigabyte micro SD card. That's not included in this case. Like I said, I'll open the box here in a second, but you do want to buy one of these, and you probably want it to be a little bit faster. I recommend the class 10. Since this camera is a 4K action camera, it can hold some pretty hefty videos that move pretty quickly. You want to do yourself a favor and not get the least expensive SD card. You want to get a pretty decent one. So up to 64 gigs there. So I've gone ahead and turned it on, but this is the button up here to turn it on. I'm just going to hold it down here to turn it off again. So tap the button and you'll see it comes on, and immediately you'll see the LCD is showing you exactly what's in the picture. So it may be a little bit hard to read there, but what it says is normal video, 1080p, 30 frames per second. So I've been using this camera for a while now. As you may have seen in some of my other videos when I'm going out or at the gym, I'll use this occasionally and I record in 1080p, but the normal setting that it does come in is in 4K. So right now I'll put it back to normal video mode and start it off in 4K resolution, which is the way the camera comes. So the camera goes all the way up to 4K 24 frames per second and can go up to down to 720p with 120 frames per second. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off here for a second. We're gonna come back to show you what the camera looks like on the inside. But first, let's just quickly look at what's in the box and then we'll get right back to the camera. So again, second battery. Inside the box here, lots of really cool accessories. So it's already coming out to save you some money, not only with the camera, but the accessories that it comes with. So it comes with the waterproof case, and I use this often when I go to the pool, and I'll even show a little bit of video later on of what it looks like underwater. It does come with a watch where you can actually activate video and images from a distance remotely. So very helpful when you're by yourself and you set it up somewhere on a stand or further away and you just want to make sure that you can start the camera. It does come with several different adapters with thread to connect to stands. So this one in particular is for connecting it to the waterproof case. You just screw in You just thread in a screw right there, then you screw this part of the mount right into the you mount this portion right here right onto the stand, and now you have your waterproof case with the camera in it on a stand if you needed to. There's also some items here to make sure, and this is the thread actually, I'm sorry. So this thread would go right through there and you would add it in. Now it also comes with one of these that you just attach it to the camera, so you can put it around your wrist to make sure you don't lose it if you're going out or in an active environment. And then when I lift this up here, you'll see there's manuals and things like that. I'm not going to go into it in too much detail, but there's a manual and there's other connections as well, other threads for different things. So what I haven't tested here, because I don't have a drone of my own, so I'm curious if there's a mount for a drone, because you know nowadays you can put your action camera underneath a drone, and then you can use your drone, fly it around, and get some really good footage. So I don't know if that, if one of those is in here. Again, I'm not going to do too much of that. Don't want to take too much of your time with that piece. All right, so we're back to business here with the camera on. As you can see, we have normal video. 24 frames per second, 4K. One thing to note, guys, they're pretty big files, those 4K files, as you can imagine. So this is why I said you want to make sure you get a good 64 gig micro SD card, and of course I'll put a link to one down below that you can get on Amazon for under $20. And you know, you'll see here, once you click down there, you'll see all the options that exist. So you can do a time lapse with this. And the time lapses actually go from anywhere between 1 second up to 60 seconds in between shots. So if you want to do some really cool time lapses and you're not really into post editing, you just want it to be already made, you can actually set up time lapse right there. They have slow motion options where you can record your video in slow motion. There's normal photos. So the photos can go anywhere from 16 megabytes biggest all the way down to 2 megabytes smallest. So you can get some really good clear shots and vary in the size that you want them to be to make sure when you export them, you have some space for them. You can do a photo lapse as well and a sequence of photos. So there's single shot, there's burst mode, there's self timer mode. So again, this is a full-fledged, really good camera. Now, I wouldn't recommend it to be your everyday camera, as I believe that the mobile phone you have in your pocket is probably better everyday camera than this option. But if you're into recording videos and you're doing things that are really high in action, then this would be really helpful. So I'll go here to the settings really quickly so you can see that. You can switch the resolution of the videos from 4K to 2K, 1080p 60 frames per second, all the way down to 720 30 frames per second. And there's a couple of other smaller options down below. So they even do VGA 240 frames per second. That's my first time seeing that, so I'm gonna try that out to see how fast that is, but see what kind of slow motion you can get out of it. I have done the 720p 120 frames per second. Not my favorite. So there's also field of view changes. So typically when you see action cameras, they're set up as wide, right? So right now, you'll see that this is what it looks like wide. You see my fingers over here, you see the battery, and then you see the box. So if I switch that, you can actually switch the field of view to make it a little more narrow with medium. So in medium, you see you can barely see the battery now at the top, and you can see the edges of my finger. And then you can go all the way down to narrow, right? And when you go to narrow, you see now you can, the battery is almost gone, and this is more of a flat image, so it's not as wide. It doesn't give you that fisheye look that you typically get from an action camera. So you can switch between those. There's a stabilization mode, which I keep on, and stabilization really helps with making sure that your videos don't wobble as much when you're walking, or if you're doing an activity like you connect it to your bike or skateboarding. Additionally, if you have any issues with the SD card when you're on the go, you can always format it right there by clicking on the format button, and then just format the entire SD card. One thing I didn't show you, and I know this is a longer product review, but I want to make sure that you get all the benefits that I've seen from this as well as some of the cons. So this button right here, this play button, will actually take you back to so you can watch items that you have previously recorded. So for example, this is myself at the pool. Myself at the pool underwater, having a good time. So you can trash them here if you have something, and that was shot in 1080p 30 frames per second. Oh, and I'm wearing the goggles that I also did a product review on that you can check out in the V card up at the top right now. So you'll click that button to go back. Now that's one of the downsides. I feel like the touchscreen, although it's pretty responsive, I think the sensors don't do well with the size of my fingers. So if you have bigger fingers, you're gonna struggle with sometimes trying to get this camera to work with you. See, I'm clicking on it several times. Then I'll switch my finger to the pinky, and sometimes it works. There you go. You'll see up on the top right, that green bar, that is how much battery you have left. Try to focus it here for you so you can see it. That's so I have a full battery, and you also see it'll even tell you how much time you can record based on the settings that you have on. So for a completely empty SD card, you're probably looking at 5.5 hours that it can hold of 4K 24 frames per second. And as you change the settings, you'll see that there's more time available. I'm just going to show you a couple of things here before we wrap this up. It does have a Wi-Fi setting. I haven't messed around with it enough to make it work, but as you can see, it has its own SSID and a password that you can connect to if you want to move photos directly into your phone. So this is great, like if you make a quick video on the go and you want to get this, let's say on Instagram, pretty quickly, then you can do that. And you can lock the screen here so you don't accidentally press any buttons, and then this power button to shut it off. Alright guys, so that was a little bit of a longer review. Some pros and some cons to this action cam, as you can see. I hope you found it helpful, and it'll help you make a determination as to whether or not it's a good camera for you or your family or your friends as a gift, whatever option you choose. As always, if you like the video, click the thumbs up below, share as you see fit if there's other folks who you think might be interested in it. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing by clicking right here. And if you do subscribe or are a subscriber, please remember to click that little bell to be notified when videos like these or others are posted to the channel. Thanks for watching. Salute.